Assistant Minister of Health, Honorable Member for Natagweta, Lawrence Ookeditse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm going to address this House. Me, Negeratilo Gorongwe, the leader of opposition. I got in the House, with a few things that he has said. And the first thing is, he spoke quite a lot about words and motivational speeches. Motivational speeches and the likes. And in his debate, and he said it several times, he seems to suggest that words do not matter. Me, mahoko, abotlhokwa. Words, speeches have changed the world. So you cannot sit today and say the president, the government should not speak, should not motivate people, or all these things. Words are important. You can go back in history to the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the struggle against apartheid, our own decolonization struggle. Everything has been about words. So words, motivation, clarity of vision should be communicated to the citizenry so that so words are important, and we should never come to a point where we are made to believe that speeches do not matter. They are quite important. And then I'm going to also speak to one of the things no, there's a difference between your wish here, it could have been you, and it should have been you, has not become a reality. You cannot, if you're an honest man, toboga a government within the first 12 months of governance, especially when this government, things are extremely difficult. Right now, any leader who approach you with honesty should be looking at things and saying, is there a plan that is going to take us forward? And that is the key question. And I pose it to you as the opposition. Is there a plan? And the answer to that question is yes, there's a plan. How do I know that? Because, Lona, a couple of weeks ago, well, days even, you passed the NDP 12 and you passed the Botswana Economic Transformation Plan. And none of it looks solid. So if you've said a few days ago that the plan looks solid, then something is wrong. There's a lot of inconsistency there. But that inconsistency, I feel how the way you've been advancing your ideas, it's full of inconsistencies. I'm going to point out another one. On one point, the leader of opposition has come out and said, in what world is that? You can't say yet at the same time, you expect that we must pay the debt. And I put it to you, Domokaraga left 15, 16 billion or thereabouts in debt, which debt is being paid by the UEDC government. So you cannot then say they don't have a responsibility to manage resources properly. So there's something wrong there. So these inconsistencies and approaches...
Clarification?
Not yet. I'm still just warming up. I'm not clarifying anything. I'm still warming up. So you see, all these inconsistencies we have coming up, there's something wrong with your approaches. And when I finish, how about to clarify? Let me clarify something for you. You came up, you yourself, and you spoke not long ago, where you said you don't owe us ideas or alternatives. Your job to Okhaneta. And what you are saying and what your leader is saying
point of order,
is exactly
point
in that
of order,
same spirit.
Mr. Speaker.
Point of order on our furniture.
Mr. Speaker, I think honorable member Untsenya Mahukumo Mohanu, I spoke re tiro ya me ke go ganetsa. Ke relay, and I must repeat, ga re le koloti di solution. Lona ga le go ipapatsa ko Batswaneng. Ne la di solution tse ne le di presenta mo Batswaneng. Batswana ba be ba dumalana le lona ka di solution tsa lona. Yano e nako ga se ya go kopa di-solution ko go rona ke ya gore yana le diragatse tse le ba soloheditseng mo manifestong wa lona ne ke papametse ke ntse jalo le rona re na le wa rona manifesto Batswana ga ba re ga sebaka ga se nako ya gore re be re le ba re tisang di-solution ke nako ya gore re diragatse se e leng gore
o ka bo rile clarification or correction go bona ka go yildela honorable Ookeditse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I don't actually get the import of what he's saying. Exactly what I've said is quite similar to what he said. So in actual fact, I never like to say stuff to Dr. Batswana because it's quite advanced as a senior. So I skip. I'll pretend I didn't hear that. One of the things saying what I want to point out,
Order, honorable members. Standing order 58.4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I respect Dr. Batswana quite a lot, and I often try to not respond to him. I'll keep that line restrained. One of the things Selangore should also be looked into, when the leader of opposition says nothing is happening, then the leader of opposition probably doesn't quite understand what governance is about, especially when you're changing things. The key thing, how lebella performance ya government, especially ko tshimologong, ke go lebella gore gone mme are they changing the structure of the country? Are they changing melao ya lehatse ka hentseng ka teng? And I can say to you that this parliament has considered 33 or more pieces of legislation saying gore they are being geared towards restructuring the country gore e kgone go ya go tshwantseng gore e teng. And these laws, the majority of them, di tshentshitswe jaana with a lot of, inter-party cooperation, with yourselves involved. So when we have done all these things, and we are putting laws into place, how then do you say nothing is happening? So what have you been doing all along in this parliament? And when you have agreed, and you've proposed sometimes laws saying that they've actually been adopted, how then do you come and say nothing is happening? He spoke about, for instance, child marriages. We know that the Honourable Speaker, all along in Parliament, has pushed for that. And we know that Honourable Penyo has also noticed the bill, child marriages. So you cannot say nothing's happening. So let us not be with the habit Mr. Speaker, get into my contribution to the State of the Nation address. And I'm going to speak to what I believe would be a new nation we should be building. Me, before I get to just a small thing, we have been very clear about the problems and challenges in the provision of health care in the country. And in our clarity, my contribution to the State of the Nation address. And I'm going to speak to what I believe would be a new nation we should be building. Me, before I get to just a small thing, we have been very clear about the problems and challenges in the provision of health care in the country. And in our clarity, maintenance, as we speak. But where we are headed, ke go transforma the healthcare system ya Botswana ka tsela e leng gore e tare batho ntse ba tsweletse ra go pele mathata re nang le one gompieno ba sa nne teng. We've stipulated a very clear vision ya gore re batla go dira eng ka botsogo. Amongst these things ke gore go nne le a national health insurance e leng gore tla dira gore jaanong Motswana mo le mo kwa leng teng mo Botswana a kgone go bona botsogo bo bo tshwana le bo e leng gore ba mo ntlong e ba bo bona. So my expectation ke gore when you criticize what we're doing, you should be saying to us, your NHI is not going to work, and this is the reason. When we say to you, we have changed such that we can now start doing bulk orders from manufacturers in the main. I want you to come and say, no, we have a better plan. Ya go provide a melemo. E ya lona ga ke a bereka. O se ka wa ikokotela ka gore gona le shortage go mpieno. E o itseng gore e ba kilo ke gore we are transforming the way we are delivering melemo mo lehatsheng la Botswana. So that needs to be looked into. And lastly on that, can we please stop being dishonest? You know, I heard him repeat Mabani, and he referenced me a dishonest thing, saying gore Sitsile ka his MP. Already, you don't need to create or embellish anything. The person I went to bury is a cousin of mine. He didn't die because there was no melemo. That's not true. He was taken to Nyanga Hospital in the presence of the family and the village chief, ambulance. He got in there. Yes, there were shortages, but melemo in a regwa. But there was a reason why he could not be operated on, and there's no shortage of melemo. So can you please stick to facts? The problems are there. We've admitted to them. Let us be honest. Let us not try to play to the gallery. So, I want to speak to the presidency and encourage you to be careful of what is called the Cobra effect. Sensationalism. Opposition. The Cobra effect speaks to a situation where in colonial India, the British colonialists back then had a problem. They had to Cobra and because of the pressure, you must do something now. They ended up battling a policy where if you kill a cobra and you bring it, we'll pay you. When they stopped the policy, people bred cobras and released them into the streets. So the problem became worse. So I want to say to the government today, the pressure with unrealistic expectations, we're going to end up creating problems in the process of trying to solve them. Now, the problem, two countries in one. Two countries in one, as in like, there is a Botswana for the advanced, a Botswana for the haves, and then a Botswana for the have-nots. This problem, it's a very historical position. Historically, Botswana, especially the indigenous people, and to some extent, they were literally dispossessed of whatever it is that they had. And that pattern, how you are into the northwestern part of the country, in the area around you see a very systematic situation where they were just not given enough. I know there's going to be a lot of talk as a country as a whole, but I'm saying it to you today that historically, what has happened? Some of those communities lost access to their lands, lost access to where they used to gather, and then what they used to do, which may even be hunting in some instances, was outlawed and called poaching. They are then forced into becoming badisa, the dominant groups in society. And as a result of this, we have a systematic exclusion. A lot of those kids today, we say, rads and the likes. They're far from what? They're far from the power resources. They've been entrenched. Standard one, or sometimes to a boarding school away from their parents. So what we must do as a government in the next 5 years is to get rid of this system. Over many years. It's about in trenches themselves. The generational curse of poverty. Ya go nna dikolo ga majarete e lengwe hela ka gore wana ha ono le mosaro wa ga semamma bana ba gago le bone ya go nna basaro wa bana ba gagwe e be ile gore this system perpetuates through and through. So we must reimagine a new republic, and this new republic should be reimagined in my view, under what I call a Botswana a plurinationalist state. Ha ke bua ka a plurinationalist state, ke bua ka gae. No, plurinationalist. Yes, from plural. So plurinationalist. So a plurinational state, in this sense, is a country where it's united as a country. It recognizes that there are strands of nations within it. And then all these nations within they promote equally. And for us to reach a plurinational state, the first thing we must do is to look at the Constitution of Botswana. And we are not going to look at it in a very emotive way. We are pitting one tribe against another. I come up with a piece of legislation to emasculate one tribe against the other. We must look at the Constitution. Botswana as a country, all these communities. Each community within its own spatial geographic environment. What do I mean by that? We have centralized resource allocation in the country. We have institutionalized an extractivist state, saying it extracts rents from mineral resources and other resources of the country, to the consolidated fund, and from there they distribute across the country. That system has significant flaws. The first significant flaw ke gore o tabo o kubile bakhalakadi le batsalo gongwe le bayei le basubia from their lands. You create a national park. But then the next thing, what is happening within that environment, these people can no longer hunt or gather. They cannot even farm. Government doesn't give them enough of anything. So the plurinational state that I'm imagining is a state before the resources go to the center, there's a portion that is very clearly earmarked for that particular region. It doesn't matter what the resources. And I am not saying, I am saying, the area it's immediately from where we gather these diamonds. It's a portion of the rents of whatever it is that we get from those diamonds. These people, wherever they may be. The step that we have taken, pluralism in terms of languages, it's well entrenched into not just where we can promote your mother tongue, but within your own area, you have a certain access to development. I'm not talking about a system tourism concession community. No, those are tokens. A particular area is contributing 500 million in tourism revenue, and we're saying the community gets 3 million. Then there's something wrong with that system of doing things. And that system of doing things, we speak about poverty. We speak about because the nature of the state we have adopted is itself a problem. It was created for colonial expediency. It created to make it easier to govern by the colonial authorities. We must now revert to a system where we look at these communities that are constituent. They form the whole. These communities on their own, they're going to thrive. Confidence, these communities. You don't know what it is like sometimes to sit in here. Honorable Motsekwa, Kana Bakaisama, Kana Penyo. I admire how they speak. For every single word, he can say it, and it's equally good. And then I listen to Mwalusi, I listen to Aaron, I listen to Disho, and to me, Haribua. the inherent limitations that have been nothing because of exactly the system that we adopted. Promote the pluralism. Had we promoted, we would have done quite well. So I am saying, as we are moving for a constitutional review, re tshwantse re dire gore ko re go yang ke mokalaka kene re tshwantse gore ha re ya go re batang go ateng re be re le in a position we recognize before anything else gore we are a plural society and we create a plurinationalist state, and this state will see each person as worthy of development on their own as they are. This is why I pointed out today, Hore, I disagree with the leader of opposition when he says there's no hope. When I heard my mother tongue spoken on TV, it said to me, I belong to this nation. It said to a lot of our people, this is the country we have imagined. When we say we are going to review the Constitution within this term, it says to my people back home, someone sees you. It says to our people, it says to my children, you belong. There is maybe a place for you. So I am just setting out markers already to say to you as a house and to the people of the country, as we're going ahead, as we're looking at a constitution that will take us into the future, go read up, go research, find out on the concept of a plurinational state. Saying what it will look into resources, it will look into the different nations that exist within our nation and empower them such that each one of them does not have to wish for the other tribe. Mr. Speaker.